Welcome to Army National Guard Leader Development's 3-Minute Doctrine. Most leaders prefer to be on the offense, operating at the tip of the spear, conducting decisive actions. In the Army National Guard, we often leverage our past experiences to help prepare and train the next generation. So how have combat leaders embodied these characteristics in their offensive operations? One of the starkest examples can be drawn from the very beginnings of our nation. On December 26, 1776, George Washington crossed the Delaware River and struck a decisive blow to the Hessian garrison, providing not only a tactical victory, but a much-needed morale boost for the Continental Army. Though it took place 250 years ago, Washington's strike is still a great example of the four principles of the offense. To effectively use the offense, a commander must understand the characteristics of offensive operations. So what are the characteristics of the offense? According to ADP 3-90, they are audacity, concentration, surprise, and tempo. Commanders maneuver forces to advantageous positions before an operation. To shape their decisive operation, they initiate selective contact with enemy forces. The decisive operation determines the outcome of the major operation, battle, or engagement. Decisive operations capitalize on the successful application of the characteristics of the offense. Now that's all well and good, but how do we apply that? Audacity is a willingness to take bold risks. The offense favors the bold execution of plans. Commanders display audacity by accepting risk commensurate with the values of their objectives. Washington's move was a definition of a bold risk, crossing a frozen river in the biting cold at night with an army whose morale was at a low point. Concentration is massing the effects of combat power in time and space at a decisive point to achieve a single purpose. By massing combat power rapidly along converging axes and synchronizing the effects of supporting assets in multiple domains, attackers overwhelm enemy forces. Commanders adopt tactics for the situation, protect the force, and sustain the attack's tempo. Washington used his information systems, such as local intelligence assets, to determine the target of his assault. Though he had blocking forces in place, his decisive point was the Trenton garrison itself. He concentrated his artillery batteries' fire and multiple infantry assaults on this point. Commanders surprise enemy forces by attacking at a time or place in a manner which the enemy forces did not prepare or expect. Commanders achieve surprise by showing enemy forces what they expect to see, while actually doing something different. Washington attacked at a time, place, and in a manner the enemy did not expect. He had used earlier diversionary raids to convince the enemy he was operating elsewhere, and he moved his men at a location and time when most units were in winter quarters, to surprise his foe. Tempo is a relative speed and rhythm of a military operation over time with respect to the enemy. Controlling tempo is necessary to retain the initiative. An attack that achieves results more quickly than enemy forces can respond disrupts enemy plans. Maintaining high tempo requires initiative on the part of subordinates within their commander's intent. Washington kept up his tempo throughout the attack, pushing his men past early guard posts and into the garrison. Despite losing a chunk of his force in a failed river crossing, Washington did not wait to regroup. He pushed his men on and ensured they reached their objective. So when you're planning your next offensive operation, remember to reference some doctrine and draw from the experience of those who came before us.